Good evening, everyone. Know we are in our holiday celebration season, so I really do appreciate everybody for joining in. Once again, I want to thank our mentor, Sadiya, who took us yesterday, who is graciously coming up again to share with us from her wealth of knowledge today. We already know Sadiya, we heard from her yesterday. I mean, the conversation was brilliant because yesterday we went through what needs to be done in leadership and how, as leaders, we need to understand that we need to do the work. We need to understand what are the challenges that need to be done, and we need to do it. Today, she's going to take us on a second segment, which is really, really going to be interesting. Sadiya, may I add, your outfit looks very, very lovely.
Thank you.
So I don't want to waste much of our time because I know that we want to, be on time today. So I will just give you the floor and we welcome you today. Thank you very much for having us or joining us.
Thank you, really. Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you for having me yesterday. I'm really, really honored, and I'm happy to see some of the participants from yesterday. And I hope we enjoyed this session. And that was largely why we are joining today. And also, for those who are just joining, I'm also saying welcome. And for those who are joined without having me here, apologies. I had communicated the reason why I wasn't here with Veronica, but I'm happy that I'm here, and then we can kickstart from our conversation yesterday. I know yesterday we had talked about leadership of the work to be done, and then I went through I went through I went through several spaces in trying to disconstruct our notion of the normal or the traditional notion we've carried about leadership, of which some of us had dropped in the chat. And I just said, well, those notions are important when we think about leadership in the area of influence, to be able to lead people, to inspire people. But that in itself may really risk the opportunity to addressing the need for leadership. That is to say, the problem, the issue. So I talked about when we think about leadership, let's think about the problem to be solved, the challenge to be met, and we need to think about who have both the technical skills and the adaptive skills to tackle that challenge. I hope that also took us into a space where we rethink leadership for ourselves, because we are leaders is something we've been told since from childhood. You would hear you are the leader of tomorrow. Tomorrow have come. Are you leading? Or are you just um, going around with a title that your organization has availed to you, or the title you've built for yourself? But truly, are you leading? So that's the question of what is leadership? What's being a leader? That means you have to be solving something. You have to be doing a sort of work, and then for you to be able to do that, you need to build repertoire. Um, so this will take me into our conversation today, which is how do we lead without a title? You know, as much as we understand that leadership is really about the work to be done and all of that, but then does that mean that there's a work to be done? How do I do the work? Do I do the work without a title, or should I wait till I get a title? This for me is a very interesting part when we think about leadership. And I would tell you that I had started um, a transformative journey of my leadership, of my a transformative journey connected to my journey of leadership after reading the book of Robin Sharma, which I shared with you via Veronica. And I want to believe she also shared that with you all. And I just want to, for those of you who were able to go through the book, let me know what's your thought, and we can start the session from there. I'll try as much as possible to keep to time. Session ends by 6. I respect your time, and I respect my time even more. So yes, anybody who had the chance to go through the book, we could just start a conversation. And if nobody did, I just want to put a question out there. What's our thoughts on leadership without a title, leading without a title, a leader without a title? What do we think about that? And then that would sort of start, open the tone or start the tone and open the ground for our conversation for today's session. So let's see. And you guys have to speak just to confirm with me that I'm not in the room with robots. Thank you. So who wants to talk about that? Yeah. Might be calling names. Aisha Mohammed, what do you have to say? I like that. Aisha, I'm calling you. Aisha Mohammed, do you want to unmute and share your view? Or Cecilia? Or Ramla? I mean, someone has to unmute.
I'm here.
Hey, I'm happy that you're here.
Okay, shalom. So, leading from behind, particularly, I don't know what that means, but I'll just speak what I know. So, leading from behind is what I try to understand is basically the work that has to be done behind the scene that nobody actually kind of articulate or understand, because we only see leaders up front, but we have no idea the work, the whole energy and the work and the workforce that they do to become the leaders that they have, or even to attain the leadership they have, and the progress that they make. That's what I understand by leading from behind. And it also means leading as a team, where you work with a workforce that you kind of have the same mission and vision and values. But that's according to how I understand it.
Right. That's really a great one, a good one there. So I like the fact that you said leading from behind, from behind. And you also talked about people, how you work with people as well, because these two words for me, they are very key when we talk about in the discourse of leadership without a title or a leader without a title. And so this will take us to the conversation of which I would be sharing my screen shortly. Yeah. Does it has to be online? Okay. Okay, I'll try and share my window, and just let me know if you can see my screen. I don't know how that would work. But
Okay.
can we see my screen?
Yes, we can.
What does it say, please?
It still says you're trying to present. It hasn't started presenting, but it's showing us your screen.
Oh, okay.
Most times when you want to share, to give you two options. Do you want to share your entire screen, or do you just want to share a particular folder that you have open? So you can stop sharing your screen and try again.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Do you have the presentation open yet on your?
I mean, it's I don't have it online, but it's just
Is it open
it's
on your
just my
laptop?
screen. It's on, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
document, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Please let me try.
think-
Okay. Yeah. So you see, whenever you want to share, it will show you Chrome tablet, Windows, or entire screen.
Mm, you know what I would want? I would say you just help me try it because it's
Okay.
not
Send it to
online.
me. Just send it to me.
Um, so it's not online. So I understand what the problem is. It's not online, so it might not allow for that. So it's the same document I shared with you for leadership without a title. If you can share that on your end, and then I will just go on. I'll just go on with the session. Thank Thank you. So why you do that? So really, I just want us to think about this, right? I want us to start our conversation from this, and really what I'm requesting for us is to think about this statement that I want to read for us now. So what I'm going to also try to do on my end is to try and be very, not to be fast with what I'm about to read. If a man, so this is a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right? He said, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, someone who sweeps the streets, someone who sweeps the streets, he should sweep streets as Michel Angelo pointed, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare poetry. That's not really the point to look at. The point here is, which I'd like to quickly take that line again. If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. I take that one last time. If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. For me, that is when we start the conversation. Sorry, Veronica, not this slide, the book, not this one, the book. The book, thank you. So this is where we're going to start the conversation from. What this means is, whenever we're given any work to do, this is just an analogy with being a street sweeper. But the real thing here is, whatever that we're given to do, we must do it well. That is what leadership is all about. Leadership is not about the titles you've been given. Leadership is a question of how well are you doing the little work you've been given, even when the work is a little, even when the work seems to be like petty work, as some of us may regard it. So that is truly leading without a title. That is largely component, basic fundamentals of leading without a title. So for us to kickstart this our conversation around leading without a title, what I want us to really go with is, it's not about title. Leadership is not about title. Title itself would confirm, it would confirm authority you have or the power vested on you by the name you carry. But when we talk about leadership, and leadership that lasts, and the true essence of leadership, the core of leadership, is your ability to do what it's your ability for you to, whatever your hands find, do it well. That is leadership. That means there's no time, there's no space for mediocrity. There's no space of lack of excellence. So whatever, and then when we think about leadership without a title, as Cecilia had rightfully added in this conversation, it's basically what it means, that you do not need any title, any name. You don't need any name before you would take the driver's seat, before you will lead. And when I say lead in this term, it doesn't connote to being at the front or leading people. What that means is that it doesn't take title for you to get the work done and for you to get the work done well. Sometimes where it starts with is just you doing your work and doing it well. I would share a story with you, hopefully that you all will connect with that. I was in a program which I would not call name. I was on a program, or maybe just to call name, but I try not to call name. I try to prevent name in many cases, but I was on a program and I was just a participant in the program. And basically, it's a training program. When after the training, we have a Telegram group where we get information from the Telegram group. But it's something I remember always doing after the training. I try as much as possible. If there's highlight from the session, I try to drop it. I try to really, really engage. I try to be of help. And just doing that on my own, that was just something I was doing. And one of the coordinators, I just went online to search on me, like to search, who is this lady? Why is she just so, like, she's just so dedicated? Look at what she's doing and all. And I just came online one evening or afternoon, I cannot remember. And I saw my picture on the page and I saw my organization highlighted on the page. For me, that was so profound. That was so, I find that really, really profound. And I was just, and it just for free. It gave me a free publication to say, everyone go check this lady out, an organization, look what she's doing and all of that. And before I complete the program, I had signed a partnership with this organization, with my organization, for 5 years partnership to work with them. What that means is I was just doing my work and I was just doing it well. And for me, that is what I've always tried to do. Always tried to do is, whether I mean, titles are good, but just be sure that you're not about titles, it's about doing the work. And I remember also a program that I had attended, many program I attended as just participant, because I would always want to do the work well. I would always want to do the work well. It's either came in as a mentee or as a participant, and before you know, in the next term, I'm either giving an executive position or I'm a mentor next year, and all of that is really about doing the work well. That means for us is, I would come in with no title, but because I did the work, now I have a title, right? So what I'm really going to be emphasizing really more is, can we at some point not look at title? When you do the work well, you automatically attract title. When you've done the work well, that's when you become a leader. So the big question for us is to have in our mindset, lead without a title. What that means is, be that person that the angels in heaven, the host in heaven can say, there lives so and so person that has done this work well. And when it comes to leadership, it's not just one-sided. That means you cannot be someone who do the work very well, let's say with at the office, but when you're at home, when you're supposed to sweep, you just sweep dirty under the carpet. No. Leadership shows everywhere. As simple as you're in the kitchen, you're going to be a leader in the kitchen. You don't mess up the kitchen. Because if you want, let's say in the kitchen, you do anyhow, you think you'll be fine in your office. No, that attitude will follow you everywhere. I'm speaking for experience. If you're going to be good with your work, that means you would show up, that goodness will show up every single where. So I just want us to know, in as much as we've always, because I mean, it started from primary school when you would be given a monitor, right? So when you're giving a monitor, assistant monitor, that is where you begin to say yes. You begin to do all those things. Have you not seen instances where, for example, somebody who never, the person never cared about, um, the person never cared about, I'm trying to give a more relatable example, but then say, for example, somebody who I mean, I don't know if you've experienced this situation where in your school they give a late comer a punctuality prefect. I don't know if you've noticed anything like that. Do you understand? And then when you give the late comer a punctuality prefect, it begins to come early. So that I mean, I don't know, somebody might argue that that's a good thing, but I would just want to say, in the real sense of leadership, you should already be that thing before they give you that. So it's not the title that make a man, it's what you've done over years that make you. So really, for me, what I would say in that regard is, I want us to really have a deep reflection, or if you want a narrow reflection concerning your thought of your leadership pattern. Are you saying that, oh, I'm not going to do this work, or I'm not going to assist this organization, or I'm not going to do what needs to be done because I am not the senior manager, or I'm not this and this? If that's the case, it will take you a very, very long time before you get to a senior manager. The last organization I worked with, I mean, I had just very, very, very minor, not really a top executive position, but I tell you, I was concerned with the organization, and I never knew when I became a stakeholder in the organization. But I would say largely it's because I cared about the work. I didn't care about the title, I cared about the work. And it just take time, and then the title came. So really, for everybody listening, is what is going to be the kind of pattern of leadership you want to see for your journey? Do you want to wait till when you've been given promoted before you do what needs to be done, right? I want us to rethink that. I tell you from fact, the people who have not just got them, but have not just got there successfully, but have gotten there in addition with sustainability. They've sustained themselves in the leadership role and in the success, are those who really wasn't about title when they started. It's about, let's do the work. So I just want us to rethink about leadership. In the small title you have, in the small job that you're doing, for example, what is the mindset you're coming with? Are you saying that, no, how much are they paying me? There's that thought. I remember when I started my journey, my mom would say, people are just using you, Sadiya. They're using you, you are doing, and all of that. Why would you not, when you do extra work, tell them to give you extra money? But then it comes to a point where I didn't have to ask. Do you understand? What that means for me is, I've done the work. It comes to a time where if I ask, I must be given. It's not that I should or I must, right? So, but the real question is, where are you starting from? I'm gonna say, because I understand there's a lot of big talk around, it's not my work, I will not do. When it will never be your work. And when it's never your work, then you don't even have the chance to take advantage of what the work offers. I think it's something I want us to rethink about. Even at home, it starts from home. As simple as you saying, I will not do that. That person should do it. It's not my role. No, no. If the work needs to be done, if you can do it, and do it so excellent. It's not even just about doing the work. It's also really about doing the work really, really well. As we read, let the angels, let the host in heaven say they leave this so and that does it well. So I don't know, Veronica, if I can get to page, let me see, what page is that? Okay. Okay. Veronica, please take me to please take me to page 9. Thank you. Is that page 9?
Yes.
Okay, let's see page 8, please. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Really, really grateful. Thank you. So really, when we talk about leading without a title, there are 4 things in this book we might want to also consider. It's about You need no title to be a leader. For me, that's so paramount. We live in a world when we think people need to give us, a title to lead. Nobody, as much as sometimes I feel I used to have this sort of feeling when I want to say this, but that's the truth. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's when you've gotten there, people would celebrate you, people want to be affiliated. Nobody is going to say take title. Uh-uh. Except if some of your lineage have worked some sort of things. People are good, but there's a part of us that is selfish, if we're going to be honest. I also need the title you're looking for, so I'm not going to give you. No, you have to walk your way. So what does that mean? Nobody is giving you. So it's really about, you have to lead without a title. And it comes to a time where, the title just comes to you very natural, very natural. So I just want you to know that nobody cares. You're on your own. But that does not mean, you cannot have alliance with people, network. But I'm starting from a point that you don't feel entitled. I'm trying to deconstruct that mentality, if you have any, So you need no title to be a leader. Where you are, you can start as a leader. I remember one time when I had quit from a job that I was doing. And it was also a point in my life where I started at taking some family responsibility. And imagine not having that a job to continue what you're doing, the standard you've set. And what I did at that time, I remember just saying, well, and I remember reaching out to one of my friends who I believe had an organization that can hire 20 people. And the result was not positive. I'm like, okay. And in my organization, I had no fund really to even say, Sadiya, do full time in this organization, and then you get to pay yourself. What I did was I started a program. I started a program on leadership. I was designing curriculum. The curriculum had gone around in some schools across Nigeria, and that was picked up also on a publication by AIT. AIT putting my work there, and all of that. And before someone reaching out to me on LinkedIn and say, "Oh, there's a managerial position. Are you available?" And then I did not apply. I got the job, and the pay was good, and it was one of the best pay I've had that time. So what am I trying to say is that nobody wants to give me job, right? No problem. I took leadership. I started doing programs, but I was very, very honest, and I was full of competence in the program I was running. To think of AIT put my program, for free. What does that tell you about the program I had run? So what am I trying to paint here is the fact that, hey, you have to lead without a title. In your space, what are you going to do exceptionally? See, it's not just doing what you've done or doing what people are doing, but what is the additional thing you will do? It's as different. It's a very relatable example would be for me when somebody say, "How are you?" is one thing. But I know some "How are you?" is "Amebo, how are you?" They say "How are you?" They want to know what is happening, this and this. No, that's not the "How are you" I'm coming from. Imagine when somebody tell you, "How are you?" How are you, Maria? Are you fine? Is there anything you would need? How I can support you? That's one person in the morning that say, "How are you?" Another person that comes and say, "Maria, how are you? Hope you dey fine." The difference really is the extra thing that first person had given you. Even if you never wanted to talk, you would talk for that first person. It's really about the extra thing we give. So it's also a question about whatever you're doing, what extra thing will you do? And this service is service everywhere. It's not just service in your professional life, it's service at home, with your siblings, with your parents, with yourself, and everything. Number two is turbulent time build great leaders. Hard moments build leaders. I'll tell you the time I've had my greatest growth were times where I thought, my career, I wasn't understanding my career. There were times where it was difficult. Those were times where I had to cry every morning, every night, cry, cry, cry. What I mean by cry was when you just feel like the work is so much and you don't have clarity. If at that time you were able to get to a point where you're asking yourself, what is the next right step to take? What is the next right thing to do? And you summon that courage and you humbly reach out to people you think can be of support to advise you. I think that is what makes a leader. It's not really about saying this work is so tough. Me, I cannot do it. It's the toughest work that builds leaders. I promise you, this work is tough. And you say, let's get into it. What are we going to do? Is what builds leaders. The deeper your relationship, the stronger your leadership. I am telling you today that if you want to lead, be ready to build relationships, because you would work with people. Right? You would work with people. What that means is you would have to understand people. You would have to build network, because of course you need network to lead. For example, if you're working on any project, you alone cannot, you really don't have the complete knowledge of what to do. You need to leverage on the strength of other people. That strength could be as simple as that people providing you a thought pattern, what you should look at, what you shouldn't look at, their network and all. So being able as a leader, you must be able to build a network of the right set of people, quality people. Very important. It doesn't make sense of a leader when you say your crew, your people, the people you have in your space are not people who you can get ideas from. No, it's also a question of rethink the people in your spaces, right? Who do you have? So, and then how do you build? And beyond just building relationship, what I've come to understand is how do you maintain those relationships? For one, I am someone who can build relationship, but what I've noticed of recent is that when it comes to managing those relationships and sustaining those relationships, I have not built enough repertoire in that area. So as a leader, it's something to think about, which I'm also really, really working on at the moment. And I want to think that every day for me it's an improvement, right? So what I want us to think about is your relationship. Who do you have in your cycle? Who is your mentor? I know mentor has become a buzzword. Everybody say, my mentor, my mentor. I will tell you something that if you would laugh or just smile. I got to a point in my life 1 year. I remember in maybe 2020 or 2021, there are people I was calling mentor here, and they're my mentor, because they were doing well and I like what they were doing. But they had no direct impact in my life. I remember reaching to one person one time concerning something I want to do, and it was like, he gave me a feedback that was not befitting for me. And I remember just sitting down one time and said, you see all these people that I'm calling my mentor. Today, you all cease to be not just my mentor, to even have a space in my contact. I delete. I'm being very honest. I cut every ties. In the sense, I don't want to see what you're even doing. In fact, let's start from there. And I don't want to. And do you know what that means for me? I needed to start. That I thought I thought that I was starting from zero. I needed to start to look for people. I was on LinkedIn. I was looking for people. What that means, like, I'm searching. Okay, I want to do this year. This person is doing this. I'm contacting. I'm introducing myself. I am Sadiya, Murtala. This. Like the Holy Book says, if you search, you would find. And I found. And I think I found the best of people. And that was because I created space, right? You need to create space for the new people to come in. So it's also be able to calculate also this person in my life, what are they contributing in my leadership? If you think that these people, it's only me that know them, they don't know me, it's not good enough. As a leader, it comes a time where you need to clean some people out. They are good people, but how good are they to your own journey and your path? They might be good for other people, but not you. So I would say go find your people that you can learn for and grow from. And then to be a great leader, first become great. First become a great person. What that means is you need to be disciplined. Veronica, please take me to page 11. We have just 15 minutes. Yeah. Thank you. Please take me to page 11. No, page 10 then. Okay. Okay. So I know for those of, I know because I'm also a Nigerian, we are not really, our culture of reading is not really sophisticated, I want to say. But I would say if you must be a reader, if you want to be a leader, you must read. And you can start with this book. What that means is please engage with this book. It's a very interesting book. If for nothing else, for the fact that I had mentioned that I had started my own transformative leadership journey with this book. So I'm advising you start with this book. I just want us to think about image. When you think about a leadership, think about the acronym image, what that means. So even if you would forget everything that I've said today, but remember image, image, and I would break down what that means. Now, when you think about leadership, as I mentioned, think about image, which is IMAGE. What I stand for is innovation. In business, they say, we would say innovation is, it looks into the competitiveness of what you're doing, what makes you different, and all of that. But when we talk about leadership, we're thinking the line of we need to create growth daily through innovation. What that means is every single day, we need to ensure that we are getting better. We need to ensure that we are growing. If last year, this is your repertoire, what would be your repertoire, the coming years? If today you're able, say, for example, if you're giving it work to do, if today you just do, you just give it, let's say, I'd always like to give very relatable example. It could be, for example, if, for example, if you're a communication person and you're supposed to make a post, and if you just give details, you give information about the post that you're making. How about if tomorrow you come to do a similar post, you not just give information, but then you sort of create a sort of emotional attachment to the post you're making. But then it's looking into what extra thing are you going to do. I think that is the words to just take from it. When we think about innovation, it's what is the extra thing you would do to the work you did yesterday, and what's the extra effort you put to the work on on the ways you do your regular works. And so the aim is mastering, committing to mastering through constant improvement is mastering. You have to master. We've become young people who say, I can do this and this and this. Or when we speak to young people, they say, I am busy, I am doing this. And when you ask them to give you details, or when you begin to ask very, very technical questions in regards of maybe one aspect of the things they've mentioned, that's when you know this person is a professional stammerer. Did you get it? Veronica, you are laughing. And you'll be asking yourself, what, you don't know what you are telling me. What are you saying, man? You don't know. Eh? So really what I'm saying is we need to master. As much as they say, oh, know this and this and this, yes. Know this, it makes sense, I know. But of course, there is also a place of you being able to master something. What I understood from mastering is it has to be with every single day committing to be better or committing to improve the work that you're doing. For me, that is mastering. And then you come to a point where you become a guru in that thing. What I mean by a guru is that you understand the intricacy of that thing. You can teach that thing. You can solve problems from that thing. The third thing is authenticity. being truthful to yourself and others. Authenticity is a top thing I would say first. There's nothing that can destroy what you carry like not being truthful. I'll share with you something very quickly. I remember going for an interview um, earlier in my career, and when I went to the interview, I was using a different tonation, phone. I was like, I wanted to prove a point that I have fine voice. I can speak English. The thing is not in English, oh mama. And I was like, I can now. I try to sound me. My voice is unique. I'm like, I cannot. I will try and mimic. I'm like, okay. I was not me. If you see blunder that I was speaking, I was stammering. The confidence, I did not know where it went. Eh? After I finished all, the person that gave me feedback, he said, the first thing he said, say, be authentic. Be authentic, even from your voice. Be authentic. I would just say, to be very honest, we are easily to be swayed to just want to be somebody else. But I promise you, whoever that you are is because that's who you are would meet the task that you've been assigned to do. So whatever that you're made up of, say for example, your voice, or when I even talk about authenticity, is also about being able to know what is your level gap, what is your knowledge gap. I remember coming here in the UK, I knew that I had a knowledge gap coming from Nigeria, where you're not made to write essays that are very nuanced. I remember reaching out to friends who have had a similar education with the UK system. This is where I'm coming from. How do we close this gap? I was being very authentic to myself. I received coaching. And today, with all humility, I want to say, I am coaching, I'm guiding people with the grace of God on how to write distinction essays. I'm going to tell you. Imagine if I was not authentic to myself. I want to form what I am not. Eh? For where? Just be authentic. Be authentic. And I will say, always say your truth. And when I think about authenticity, I think about being very honest, being also disciplined, and being sincere. Is the guts. Then the next one is the guts, having the courage to do things other fear to do. Very important. I will tell you that, like I mentioned yesterday, take spaces. Take spaces. But what I've also come to realize today is that as much as people would say, or as much as I'm saying now, that takes spaces, it takes hard work and time to be able to build guts and courage to be able to take spaces. What that means, let me explain to you. I would give a situation of myself. When I came to the UK, I in class conversation, you will have a lot of white guys making contribution, white young ladies making contribution, and me as a black girl, I'm always quiet. I'm like, hey, these people, they know book. Oh, look how their English is very polished and all. But when I took the time to engage with the literatures, the articles, the book, if a white guy will read for 1 hour, you as a black man, you guys read for 2 or 3 hours. When I begin to do the reading, I never knew when I begin to build confidence. See, there's something that hard work does for you. It's a different thing it's one thing if you're born as a confident person, right? I mean, and it's another thing if your confidence is born from a place of hard work, when you've done the work, when you know it, when you've walked the talk, when you've walked it. And after going through the process, see, I will be in the class, I don't even know when my mouth will open. I'm raising hand. And when I speak, I am speaking value. having constructive argument. When I ask you question, it's something you would have to wait and rethink. You know, this is somebody who has read. She knows what she's saying. She's. Do you get it? It's not just you wake up this morning and say I must be courageous. Courage for where? Do you think do you think courage is where you go to a supermarket and say I'm buying courage? Courage is something you build. Many times it's born from hard work. If you've done the work, you've grown the capacity, you'll be so courageous. Eh. When I came into this country, I thought I would not be able to ask question things and this, because of, okay, I'm a black girl. But when I begin to do personal development on myself, I will ask you question. I'll be looking at you in the eyes. It's you that shall will be like, hey God, maybe am I talking? It's because there's something that, I don't know, that process of learning and building capacity does for you. You become unapologetic. And this is what I want you ladies to go and build. When people say be courageous, I will tell you, if there are things that will hit you, that your courage will scatter on the floor. With when you've done the work, when those things hit you, you have a wage. Your skills will wage it. So there's a huge need to go through the process of learning and building. So the last part I want to talk about is ethics, doing what is right and staying true to your values. One of the most important things that I would say in life, that I would say in leadership and even in life, is you must be a person of ethic, a person of discipline, right? You have to have a value. If not, you'll be swayed to anything. Can you really say to yourself that this is something I cannot do? This is who I am. What sort of ethics do you have about your work and about yourself, so that when you're invited in an organization, you can say, oh, this organization or this thing does not represent or does not reflect the values that I hold. You must build value. And this is very important, of course, in leadership and everything we do, and even in the relationship we'll have. If not, you just get sway anyhow. Have you come to a place where when you're able to say that I will not be part of this, or I will not allow this person treats me this way? That's because you've built ethics for yourself, you've built value, and you have to stick to those values. I'm going to stop here. I'm ending 2 minutes before the time. I honestly hope this was really an impactful, or I wouldn't really use the word impactful, but I just hope it is just that one thing you've been able to pick from this session. Because the truth is, when you think about leadership, there's a number of things you would learn about leadership, you would see. But the core of leadership for me is really, what are those ethics you have? What are those behavior, those discipline you've built, those values you've built for yourself, and how would you portray that? And even if you're not, that would unconsciously show in the world. But as I mentioned again, I just want you to remember that nobody will say take leadership, we don't dash you, not lie. You have to walk it, and you have to walk without a title. And like I mentioned lastly yesterday, of which I'm going to be highlighting again, thank you so much, is that in all this idea of leadership, leading people, leading yourself, there's always a place of faith, a place of prayer. You want to lead globally, you want to lead locally, you want to lead in your home. Leadership is really something that requires, you building a level of resistance, and a way to really have, continue to build those resistance even when things hit you, is when you're also able to attach that to prayers. You need prayer. For me, I have said I have lead teams that I thought I wouldn't be able to lead. Having to lead teams, having, a program, which says that, oh, we have participants from over 10 countries of the world. And look at just me, having to negotiate with partners from different countries. Either you want to get funding and support. This is just me. I would say prayer goes a long way. So I stop here. Thank you so much, guys. And I wish you guys the very, very best. Veronica, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much, Sadiya. Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate you taking our time, pouring out yourself, pouring out your expertise. I really, really want to say thank you. I think that we should all give Sadiya a round of applause for a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best in all that you do. Wish you congratulations again for being Mastercard Scholar, and wish you all the best in your studies at Edinburgh. And we are looking for the great things that you're going to do next. And thank you very much for answering our call when we called you to come and be a mentor for our program. I really do appreciate you. I mean, it's one of the things you spoke about where you talked about your connections. And I mean, once immediately I reached out to you, I mean, you were very, very welcoming and said you're willing to share your time. So thank you for taking, I know you've been having classes that have been pressing, but thank you very much for squeezing out time for us. We appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're
This
welcome.
is the end of our session today. We really appreciate everyone for joining. Thank you very much, the mentees, for joining. I know that we are in a celebration mode, and I really appreciate you all for joining. We will see you again. So take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.